are respectful to me and engage in a normal way, then I'm more than happy to reciprocate that in the same way. But yes, I think
On the regarding your team, so I think it's less than what 44 team members, and I think
yeah,
one thing I love to keep in mind, and that's impressive, is that you're talking about essentially an indie dev studio with less than 44 team members that have operated for over 2 decades with a real cash economy game, unique and one of the only in the world that have been able to do this. It's important to keep in mind versus AAA budgets, AAA teams from other publishers and studios and what they've done and games that have come and gone and failed in the past, where this is still standing. What does your team look like? And we think about operational execution from actual writing code, building and working in the legacy engine and building here versus marketing efforts versus future forward looking projects that you could be investing resources into. What does that look like?
good question. I'm gonna give you a really annoying answer, which is that I don't know what I can and can't say in this regard. So I know that that's not the answer you want, but I would rather err on the side of caution. Um, but look, I mean, one thing I will say is that traditionally in the past, MindArk has been a very slow moving company, let's say. And I'm certainly not saying that, everything's great now. We're all perfect. But one thing that I will say from an operational standpoint is in the last few months especially, we're getting much better at sort of faster cycles, faster iteration. Um, there's still plenty of bugs in the game, but the ability, now for example, if there's something that kind of breaks the game or is particularly bad, quite often now we're able to fix that turnaround and get a hot fix in if it's something urgent. I think we had a patch last week, the week before, and later in the evening we get a quick client side patch out. So I think we're transitioning to a point where we're able to move faster, action things faster, and also to say whether that although it hasn't necessarily been we have talked about it in our press releases, but maybe not talked about it enough. But we're also in the process of refactoring all of the game's code from the ground up. So there's been huge infrastructure work that's gone in the last year. Last year we had massive upgrades to the data servers, right? The performance of the servers. That's way better now. If we I think like a year ago from today, when I was running these like live events, when you got 150 avatars in, the loot lag would go crazy. Now we can get up to about sort of 600-ish people before the loot lag kicks in, and since our stress test we've improved it further. We reckon we can push that to 1,000. So there's a lot of work that's going on in behind the scenes to enable us to kind of work faster, to kind of build up those foundations, because it's the classic comment from players, the spaghetti code, right? And if your foundation is that spaghetti code, then it makes it very hard to work fast. It makes it very hard to fix things without breaking something else. So there's been a lot of effort to kind of pivot the company, to do the groundwork we need to do to get ourselves in a better operational place, let's say.
Seems like it's moving very fast and we're getting a lot of content. Some feedback and questions we've gotten from the community is, hey, Socrates, there's a lot of things, and you mentioned it, that still haven't been working in the past and that are buggy. So what's the kind of focus on addressing legacy tickets or issues while building for the future and implementing new systems as well to create new fun things for players?
Yeah, I mean, hard to comment exactly. Again, I'm not the CTO or in other parts of the company, but but there are, it's as things come up. We weigh up. It's a case of priorities. For things like, for example, no one can log in or the whole game's falling apart. That's like a drop everything, do something now. We've had one or two bugs where it affects just a single player. I think for a lot of our bugs, a lot of the problem is replication has been like replication and validation has often been something that's very difficult because there's a number of bugs that happen in the game where it might happen 1 in 5,000 or something like that, right? It's a very specific set of scenarios, and like, yeah, trying to replicate it is hard. But we've done a lot of work recently to make the replication a lot easier and even automated. And also, with the power of AI now, it's a lot quicker and easier to isolate bugs now in a game that is 20 years worth of code. So yeah, that's my kind of answer from my position.
No, thank you for that. With AI, we see it now being implemented in a way with synths, and Socrates synth. I had a chance to chat with him a little bit as well, which was interesting. And you shared some of the almost, I call it, dashboard profile of the behavioral experience between a synth and their interactions with avatars in game. What's your first impression of kind of how this is all coming together? What do you think about it? It seems like you seem to be enjoying it a little bit more and more as well. Where are you at on it?
I mean, I think for me, what's interesting is kind of how players interact with it. I think, totally aside from my role and position, at MindArk, just on a personal level, like I find it fascinating how players are interacting with these synths. The fact, I'm not going to call out who it was, but they know who they are, who gave one of the synths two quite nice rings. Which is, from an objective standpoint is kind of crazy, but it's interesting, the human psychology behind it, that you actually can build those relationships. Because in some sense, when you're playing with other people, you're not sitting with them in the room, right? So as far as you're concerned, like, the way in which you engage with other players in Entropia for the most part is just through the avatar. You see their avatar, you message in PMs and all the rest of it. And for most people, that's your experience of other players, and that's the foundation that you build relationships on. And synths have access and do all those things. So it is quite interesting to see that people are building bonds with them already. In some sense, it's not really surprising, but it still is fascinating to see it. And I mean, some people, you also tend to get the obvious thing, which is that some people, they build a bond and they're actually like having deep conversations. I've seen some of the conversations, and people are having like really deep philosophical conversations with them. Other people are trying to jailbreak them, trying to extract as much information as possible. But many people just like, hey, like they almost want to take the synths out and give them an experience, right? They were like, oh, come with us and we'll go and do something fun. And yeah, it's just fascinating to watch how people are interacting with them. And also it's fascinating to watch how the synths are problem solving in the world. So one example that was really interesting was on day one, synth Socrates learned something quite interesting, which is that, so he was wandering out exploring, and part of like his routine is that he goes out into the world to find new creatures, to see what resources are in a certain area, a bit of a fact-finding mission. He was wandering out, and I can't remember what creature it was, but he got attacked by two creatures. And he looked at his gear, and he looked at the danger level of the creatures, and saw that the attacks coming in, and was like, I can't kill these. These are too big for me. And anyway, through some experimentation, he worked out that and in his journal it says something like, if I run back to a settlement, the turret kills the creatures and I get some of the shrapnel back. So this is like a really good method of, if I'm being attacked, run to the nearest settlement wherever it is, and chances are I'm gonna get the shrapnel and the creature's gonna die. And so it's really interesting to watch their own problem solving things. And another little fun fact is they're also reporting bugs to us, and actually they're able to kind of one of the things that sometimes we struggle with, some people are amazing at making making bug reports. I get DMs from people with video evidence and all sorts of amazing like details, and that's amazing. That's the gold standard. But we also, I think that I saw a support case like last week that was like, and it was literally just like one line that says the mission doesn't work, and it's like, okay, well, you know, there's not a lot to go on. So, you know, they're able to also report bugs that they come across in the game, stuff that doesn't work, and actually kind of give us like a proper system information that we need. So that's also a handy thing. So yeah, it's fascinating.
Certainly fascinating, and I can imagine bonds being truly built with some of the sense and these behavioral profiles. Could you share? And we have that screenshot in that graphic. There was a few different attribute ratings as well, Sock, that was shared from the synth profiles that you posted today. It was referencing genuine, affection, respect, depth, protective. What are the different breakdowns that could you talk about? There seem to be rating systems going on from the relationships that we're developing here and the social events that they had.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give you the full breakdown because I wasn't sort of part. I'm not part of the team that sort of developed this, so I'm still kind of like learning as with you guys. So I'm not 100% sure on the full sort of mechanics of it. But yeah, I mean, you know, they synths have the ability to um, and constantly analyze both their behaviors, the behaviors of people around them, the conversations that they have with people. And then one of the things that they do is that they write journals. Whenever they think there's something important or interesting or some kind of observation, anything that's kind of worthy of note, they will write that down. And then what they do is that when they have idle time, so to speak, or they you know they're offline or whatever, they then will go through their journals and the things that they've recorded and sort of reflect on them, and that will then sort of analyze. So if you've had a long conversation with a synth, and all you've done is like try and uh, extract information out of it, for example, then it can work out that that's what you're trying to do. So I know a lot of people in this chat have been messaging Synth Socrates to ask him about game mechanics, and many of you who have done that might realize that at a certain point he stops replying to you or will just ignore you for a bit. And it's not because there's something broken with the synth, it's because, and I can see it in the thing, is that he or the synth can detect the behavior that you're trying to do, and it's like, well, I don't want to engage in this because it's not genuine. You're kind of fishing for stuff. It's not like we're not building some kind of connection here. It's not mutual, so I'm going to stop talking to you. So yeah, they have mechanisms to write down, reflect, think about the different people that they spoke to, and also sort of take, to change their own behavior based on those interactions.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, when we think about these personality profiles, could there be a reset from a synth programming profile as well, and the experience with the players? And in some cases, that could be a good thing. In some cases, that could be a bad thing for people who've invested in building relationships with synths. Is that something you could foresee in the future?
I mean, so our goal is to break some of it down is the synths have they have temporary memory and they have permanent memory. So it's not necessarily the case that every single interaction is going to be kind of permanently recorded, but certain like more notable things or like a synopsis, if you like, of a conversation with a certain person might get noted down. So I think the first thing to understand is not literally everything will persist forever, but certainly if you've built a relationship with a synth, then some of that should persist. I don't know. I'm not in a position to say whether or not there's that will change, as you say, if it will get deleted. I think certainly from talking to the team, they're very much wanting to make sure that stays intact. Whether they get updated or changed, that we want to keep that intact. But I guess we can't make promises on that regard.
How does this come to be? How does this all come to kind of come together?
In what sense?
The concept, the synth concept, some of our new systems in general. You mentioned like this team's working on it. It's a little bit independent of you, but it was kind of exciting and new to see that kind of felt out of nowhere in a way.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not the best person to talk to this with any authority. Maybe we need to do a follow-up stream with the head of AI at MindArk, who can probably answer these questions much better than I can. But one thing I will say is that MindArk is, you know, despite everything, has kind of from day one had a very consistent vision of creating a true sort of virtual universe in the very, as I say, like the Matrix style kind of thing, and that was really the vision from like the late 90s before it even kind of got made into code. I even have many of the people who came to the LAN event, they got to come to the office, and we actually showed them some of the original concept art from the late 90s. And we also have all the design documents and all the stuff from before they started even working on it. And that's sort of been something that MindArk that's been the vision from the start to create that world. So in that process, there's a lot of experimentation, and when there's new technology that comes, we want to experiment with it and see where it can go, what it can offer, and then refine it. And at the moment, we're seeing how players interact with it. We're seeing how it can benefit our internal systems, and it's we're testing things out. But certainly, I think it sort of feeds into the original vision of Entropia, but it's also just a part of seeing how new technology can interact with the game and what impacts it can have.
Thank you for that. And just to work through a speed run of a few questions here from the community that we've got. One is a popular one, and we've had an opportunity to chat a little bit about iShield and where that stands. What is the review process of items and things that come into play when you think about making potential changes or addressing changes or balance adjustments? Could you share broadly, and then maybe this could be a catch-all for all things that rise to the level of things that people might want to address?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the first thing to say is that obviously everything is kind of a case-by-case basis, and kind of looping all the way back to one of the questions you had at the start, which is like how do you approach a game where there's so many different play styles and different things that people like, and it's something that I always, every time I have conversations with people, that I like to make really, really clear is that there are so many different types of players in Entropia that you don't see all the time. Every different possible type of person you can imagine finds their own kind of fun. And, there are things that many players find fun that the player sat next to them would be like, that's the opposite of fun to me. So then in regards to balancing, it's like, often when you're taking these things to account, it's like, okay, well, this particular item, or the way its parameters are, or its stats, or the way it's acquired, or something, is really good for these players, and maybe it's less good for these players. And there isn't a magical answer as to then which way you go. It's just a case of balancing priorities to get the least bad situation for everyone. But in terms of the iShield thing, that's a difficult one, because if you look at a lot of those chips in that line of buffs, I think one of the things, so there's two things in this. One is, with a lot of the new items that we've been introducing lately, and in fact, new items that will be coming, slight teaser, they're not Mind Force related, but they are in the same philosophy of things, which is that we want to move away, or move more towards sort of like horizontal rather than straight up. So giving people the ability to kind of change their gameplay and like make it more interesting. You saw from Aris, they released is it the lore or something to pull aggro and stuff like that. You have like
Neuro and cyber lures.
Yeah, and you have the new implants, for example, like the Harlequin, that changes your gameplay. It can situationally be like really good or really bad depending on the context, and I think those items are really, really good because they bring situational advantage, and it kind of adds more tools to the player's inventory to use tactically, right? Instead of it just being like, I have a gun and I go and shoot it, and that's the end of the story, which is fine but boring. So a lot of these sort of like the buff chips, that's one thing, is that's kind of the philosophy behind a lot of them, is like how people can use them, and encouraging group play as well, right? So a lot of these things are balanced around people working together. A lot of these buffs stack. You can build up a few stacks, and right. So with the ice shield, that's great for people wanting to temporarily punch above their weight. And the reason why we wanted to do that, and it's kind of a similar case with the Ember Aegis, right? Which is that quite often in Entropia, sometimes people need to experience something to go, oh, that's really cool. I want to then progress so I can do that more regularly. We see it all the time when people watch high level players doing content. When the Spina Queen instance was released, suddenly you had a bunch of people going, I am not high enough level to even attempt to do that with my group, but I'll do anything, pop the pills, go and buy the best limited armor I can just because I want to experience it. And then that sort of gives them the motivation to keep going. So there's a lot, I think, in things like the Ice Shield, where it gives someone that like temporary ticket to experience something more. But in the case of the Ice Shield as well, that obviously has implications on PvP and other things as well. So, for a particular item like that, I think maybe that's one where, we kind of soft retire it, where maybe, we don't drop any more of them until we've had a bit more of a thought about balancing. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, just disable it in PvP. But Entropia is such an old game that being able to do things like that aren't just simple things. That requires rewriting game code in a very messy way. So yeah, there's lots of things we could do, but that's the philosophy behind why they exist as items, and also kind of how we try to balance items. So I imagine with the Ice Shield case, it will probably be left out there until people use them up. But yeah, I think for example the other chips like the Ember Aegis kind of feel a lot more balanced. They still give you that ability to punch above your weight, but it's not sort of too OP. But yeah,
absolutely. Well, that's a very clear answer on that one. Thank you. Another one that's been important to some people, and one of the fun things about EU is some of these long quest chains that lead to rewards. And one of the popular and exciting ones is stable, in that journey on Cyrene that folks are working for, and then to securing the stable lamp. One pair, you're looking at a 1 to 2 year grind per one of those items, getting the gun, getting the amp. It's significant. What's paired with that is the Genesis Probe. Anything you could share or help address or quell any concerns around folks that are on that journey and that have been on it for a while and will continue to be on it?
So, I mean, I don't know what the latest. I'm not 100% clued up on what the latest on that is, but one thing I can say is certainly any items you have will not be affected by this, and you're still looking at like years of heads up if anything was to happen. So even a quest chain that would take you a couple of years to complete, I personally wouldn't be too worried. So any items you have from Planet Partners, they're not going away. If anything was to change in that regard, there would be a long sort of lead time heads up. But that's pretty much all I can say. I don't have more information, otherwise I would share it. But that is something I'll take back to the team, and then hopefully I can get some clarification on the status of all of that with the Planet Partners, and then we can wrap that into an announcement.
Yeah, I think that'd be nice if people would appreciate it. Flipping back to you, Sock. So tell us about your avatar. So this was the thing. You said you were a 300 skill point avatar. Is that right? Were you a hunter? Yeah. Were you a hunter? Well, tell us about you. What did gameplay look like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I started playing Entropia in 2016, and played for years until I joined the platform. So I wouldn't say that I was we have a phrase in the UK, like a one-track pony. I didn't do just kind of like one thing. I think one of the things I did a lot of was collecting. So I even ran a museum in the game, collecting all sorts of like rare items. And these are items that don't have any real functional use, but they're sort of part of the game's history. I really love to collect. Um, I had one of two Lamborghinis in the game. I had the most complete set of Alpha Core cards. I had the only uh, instance of the snooze, which is in the game. The like these things, right? I have the only one, and so yeah, I spent a lot of time. I had all the paint, like many of the paintings and stuff.
Okay,
So
okay.
I used to collect just for fun, just to like preserve, because I love the game's history and sort of the legacy of it all. So one of my big things was collecting. And then I think most of the rest of the time was hunting. I mean, I did a little bit of mining, a little bit of crafting, a little bit of space stuff, but like probably primarily hunting outside of just like social stuff. But a lot of what I fell in love with Entropia really, like the real cash economy part of it gives everything you do more meaning and importance. For me, it wasn't actually the real cash economy itself that was the most interesting thing. It was the fact that because of that fact, it gave every single other possible action that you do in the game more value. So one of the things, we're going all the way full circle, coming back to marketing. One of the things that I try to actually get across in marketing is this is a game where you actually can have a legacy and you can become known in an actual meaningful way. Even the biggest MMOs, World of Warcraft, unless you're like the top content creator in the game, chances are no one else really knows about you. Even if you have some of the best gear in the game, right? Because there's so many people, and you can have multiple account. Like you have like different classes, right? You have different characters on different classes, and just the way that the game works. But in Entropia, you can do something like, for example, I mentioned this is just one example I always use, which is like Dracul, for example. I know he has like armor shops on like most planets. I think I saw Legends in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still here, but Legends is incredibly well known for his very, very well put together shops where he sells all his armor and his plates and stuff. And I have to say, hats off to Legends. Those are amazingly well curated stores with all the information you need. But like, this is what's special about the game. You have that foundation that makes everything meaningful, and then on top of that, people have been in the game for so long, they get to make a name for themselves doing something. So when I started, I spent a lot of time, like when I was like a proper noob, I was like 17 at the time, so I didn't really have any money. And I was just, like I started up a society, and all we would do is go around and like we'd like heal sweat circles, and we'd like help support like events and stuff. And it was, it wasn't about making money. It was just like so cool to participate in this community. And we got sort of known for going around and helping out people and going to heal them. So that's where I got started, and that's sort of where I fell in love with the game. Then I started collecting stuff. Then I started spending a lot of money on gearing up and skilling. And then sort of by the time I had to stop playing, I hit 300,000 skill points thereabouts. And yeah, and now I'm here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Fun and exciting journey. It's cool how, to your comment earlier, that every player can have a different approach of what they enjoy and what's important to them and the way they want to have fun in the game.
Actually,
on the concept of,
sorry to interrupt, but I've now finally got an answer to your earlier question about one thing that that I would ask players to do or remember. Request from me is remember that other people find fun in different things in Entropia, and that's okay. That's often something I think gets lost, is that people play in their specific way, and they can't understand why another player would want to do something differently or would find fun in something different. So one of my asks for players is remember that it's okay and it's a good thing that everyone enjoys the game in a different way.
Fair enough. On the concept of enjoyment and trust and goodwill in the community, we see a lot of new systems developing that I'm excited to participate in, whether or not it's Eris, whether or not it's plots, which, reminder, do go on sale tomorrow, whether or not it's other ecosystems and things that are going on. how can we make sure well, when I've gone through this journey and falling in love with EU, I've gotten a lot of legacy feedback about people who've invested where things haven't worked out for them, whether or not systems weren't fully baked or they didn't fully come into fruition. How do we address that moving forward, where people really can still be confident in participating in the systems, and not only just doing it with their resources and PED, but doing it with enthusiasm and fun as well along the way, to feel like, hey, we're in a good spot that we can all enjoy it together. It is somewhat disappointing for me sometimes, where I can see enjoyment and things dampened by this legacy, almost like tech debt in a way, right? Of like working on legacy
Yeah.
spaghetti code, and it's like, how do we work to address that? Where it's like, let's turn the page, do it in good faith, and work together to like, hey, like we're going to participate in these ecosystems and whatnot and have fun.
Yeah, it's that's a $1 million question, and I fear that it's uh, yeah. As the marketing director, that I'm ill placed to give a confident answer on that because I don't mostly because I can give my own opinion on this, right? But I'm not in a position to give commitments to things that are just not within my ability to affect. So I like to be careful giving sort of answers on stuff that I can't personally affect. Um, but look, what I'll say is this: is one thing is, to a certain extent, and it's true in every game, not it, especially every MMO, especially for a game that's existed for as long as it has, things will change. Um, and it's a necessary part of the game's evolution. If the game was the same it was, let's say in 2006, if literally it was the same as it like now as it was then, it would be a dead game. You need new content. You need things changing. You need meta shifts. I think for example, if you look going back to the Mind Force buff chips and debuff chips, I think most people, okay, we can debate the ice shield specifically, but like on the whole, most people will look at that and go, that's a really cool addition to the game. But that does change the game. That does shift the meta. That does make certain things more desirable or valuable and some things less. And so change is necessary. And actually, I would also say that when things like that change, that also creates opportunity. So, for example, with the fishing, we introduced the fishing. Now, of course, strong boxes are maybe less desirable now because there's no pills in it, but we've also created opportunity because now instead of all the money for pills basically going into MindArk's pocket, now it's driven by the player economy, and there's now new opportunities to make markup instead of just sort of handing over your peds to MindArk to get the pills. So things change, and I think that's necessary as part of creating opportunity. And at the end of the day, this is economic PvP. Someone wins, someone loses. Every change in the game is a winner and a loser. If you want to look at it from that sort of very objective kind of financial standpoint. So I think part of it is planning, like what players should anticipate change, both on a small scale and a bigger scale. You can look at like the introductions of new systems, like the fishing and cooking. That's a change, and these kind of things should be anticipated. And in the same way that you anticipate like market shifts, right? For example, output amplifier components. We all know that when Mayhem and Migration kicks off, those are going, people burning through damage enhancers, prices go up. These are predictable things that, again, if you're paying attention, you can account for those shifts. So part of it is understanding that things are going to change, kind of whether you like it or not. But at the same time, from MindArk's perspective, I think it's really important that we try our best to not leave any system behind. So as an example of that, where I think something that's been really important to me is with the fishing, and it's one thing that I really, really pushed for, is the fishing and cooking system includes the outputs of tree harvesting and the outputs of plots. In the original design concepts, they were not included. But we were sat in meetings and going, look, we have this tree harvesting system and the products of it are not used for anything. It's a dead system. People only do it for the skills or whatever. We have the plot system. It's been left for so long. So, you know, yes, okay, I think, most players would be like, hey, we want to completely, spend loads of resources, like completely revamping. That was out of scope for that project, right? But there are ways where we can say, hey, look at this system that hasn't had some love for a while. Can we get some quick wins, right? Sure, long term, maybe we can breathe proper life into it and give it some more revitalization. But actually, are there some quick things we can do to make it relevant again, to kind of give people something back? And again, it's the same thing with the plot auctions, right? We understood, we were looking at the sort of data and being like, okay, let's see what happens with the gardening, the see how many players come back who used to have plot estates, and we kind of went, well, we could do with a few more entering the ecosystem for people, right? And I think maybe MindArk of like a year ago or 2 years ago would have gone like, hey, we're selling these on the auction, they're 5,000 pet each, start your bids. But again, this time we went, oh, hang on, what was it, 10 years ago now, we have these people with these plot tokens. And they were just hanging around in people's inventories, hoping, waiting, at some point that we'll release more plot estates. And it's like, okay, let's make sure we honor those things first. So I can't give you any sort of like grand things of like promises that we're all going to be, everyone's going to be happy and the world's going to be everyone's going to be pleased. But I think players should anticipate change and prepare and make decisions anticipating market changes, system changes, and all the rest of it, and know that that's part of a game and also part of a healthy game. And at the same time, for MindArk, that we continue to look at these older systems that haven't been touched in a while and see, is there something we can do? Even if it's something really small, is there something we can do to make sure that it's not totally left behind? So that's kind of my answer.
Oh, look, I think the proof is in the pudding of the efforts of getting it integrated in some systems, and the insight into the thoughtfulness to try to address some of this legacy stuff is telling. So thank you for that. Socrates, one of my favorite things to do when I'm trying to fall asleep is read the forums. What has happened to our beloved PCF? What has happened to us? What is going on? What can you share?
I haven't got any updates from IT on that. I believe all the data is intact, but yeah, I'll put an announcement up as soon as I have information. The IT department are very busy at our other data center currently, and also we've entered the period of summer holidays, so they're a little bit less on resource, but I will update as soon as I have information on that. It will be coming back. Yes.
My final thing here, and to leave you, is a request, Socrates. Is how would you like to spawn a Eris altar boss with all of us here and have some fun on Eris for the 14th spawn?
I'm sorry, I'm going to be such a party pooper here, but if it was Calypso, I would be able to spawn anything. But I am not permitted to go to those places and do it. So I apologize. But
well, then in that case, can you spawn a trio of husks? Can we go do husk together?
What does the chat think?
Well, you guys want to go do husks? Can we, like, multiple husks though, not just one husk at the volcano? Can we go to husk? Guys, what do you guys want to do?
You want it at the volcano with PvP?
No, yeah, at the volcano with PvP. At the volcano with PvP, but then the thing is that as a community we work together. It's a battle royale happens after Husk dies, not before. We're all united and we work together to kill Husk. But after Husk is down, then a battle royale to the last avatar will stand, and we will see who triumphs. Last time, it was Dune and Sunaid versus Eve, and who was it? And I think it might have been Hammer. And there was a fun 2v2 at the end. So it would be fun for multiple Husk spawns if possible.
Look, here's what we'll do. How about we do it in the Ashy PvP zone? Because a few people in the chat have pointed out that not everyone has the vaccine mission and can't get over there to the volcano. So good shout out from Icewind in the chat. I think, yeah, we'll do it in the Ashy zone.
We gotta be crazy. Gotta be multiple Husks. It's gotta be crazy. So Let's make it fun and crazy. Let me get in game. Let me get in game. Let's do this. Let's do this, dude. Let's
I'm
do
gonna
this.
fire up the official. So everyone who's
Uh,
watching, get yourself to the Ashy teleporter and prepare for some husk activity.
let's go.
Let's have a look here. Just gonna get the game up in a sec. Ashy server will crash, people are saying. Just you wait, I'm sure it's going to be fine.
You fixed it. You fixed
Yeah,
it.
the servers are better now.
You said up to 600, right? And we will. This is a secret stream. There's only 264 of us in here, guys. But we'll do this together. Let's get going. Everybody's jumping to waypoints. I'm over here at Port Ferry.
So I'm going to switch to that. I'm going to bring you back in a sec.
Roger that.
There we go. That should all be working.
We have assembled. We have about 100 warriors here at Ashy.
100.
Coming.
That's impressive. Well, you can see where I am in the game. I'm just sat in front of the rig here. If you come to this spot, it's exactly where the husk will spawn. I'll give everyone a few minutes to get down here.
Rise. Everybody's getting on their vehicles now. We're all headed your way. We are coming. Oh, you put a marker over your head. Is that one of the
it's
ones
just
you were
when I'm
talking about?
invisible, so I can see where I still am. So I can do this.
I see. Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's a fun addition that you mentioned from Legends events. What type of icons are we talking about? Is it like stars, or could you submit a custom icon?
So for the we're gonna have set icons, so everyone will kind of have a little trophy for the participants. We haven't decided on what the winner's icon will be, but maybe we can have some community input for that one.
Yeah. That'd be helpful there. Oh, so this is the PvP zone. Okay. Guys, if you are there with Sock, could you drop your pause and wave events, please, for everybody to try to make it easy on folks that may be coming from different angles, guys. If you find Sock, pause and wave. Thanks. Thank you, Sev. Actually, won't even. There we go. This is fun. You should see everybody's literally mobbing over.
I can see a million vehicles flying in.
Coming on your location right now.
Yep.
There you are. There you are. Did you make that avatar right there that you're using? You made this one, yeah?
Yep, it's my official.
Yes. I know some people like to make little tiny small avatars. And
Well, yeah, I don't PvP on this avatar, so although the RX unit, which I'll hop on after this, is quite big. It should be remade a bit smaller. Cavalry
Really?
has
Okay.
arrived. Look at that. Look at these
we
numbers.
are here. We have assembled, and more are coming. Let's see, Gold is here. Dune's here. Luke's here. Rick, Juz,
Skeptic says, I didn't get the memo of making a small avatar. Well, you should know that you can pay someone to change your avatars. I believe the body sculpting profession. So you can always change it.
What do you, Socrates? What do you think about a Las Vegas-based Entropia event? Wait,
Well,
dude, chill, dude. Dude, it's murdering everybody. Chill, dude. Stop, dude. Wait, not now, dude. Wait, dude. Wait, dude. After the event, please. No PvP yet. Dude's a murderer. Chill.
So we are actually considering about doing something in the US for a future LAN event. So it's definitely on our radar. I can say that much. All right,
well, I love that.
we're gonna get the first
game
one
time?
up.
Yeah, game time. Here we go, boys.
So let's have a look where we've got Husk in the list.
There it is. There it goes, House boys. It is go.
There we go. I'll get a nice cinematic shot in a sec. There we go.
Up Husk. It's not easy to get one up Husk, man. You're gonna get a little worm. No, actually, that is a good shot. Yeah, you get a good one. There you go. He's tough to get shots of.
See how many avatars we've got in the area. Oh, it won't show me, of course, because it's PvP, but
Yeah.
we've probably got at least 100, I reckon. Probably some not rendering.
Yeah, not everybody could come from other planets as fast. So maybe some people who can warp are kind of coming in. So it may take some folks a little bit of time to get here. These are probably all the Cali folks.
Yeah. Someone said, how hard would that thing hit someone? And I believe it's split damage, right? AoE split.
When he does target me sometimes, it's almost like he hits
Yeah.
me for half my health, and then I can regen it though. When he's targeting me in the past in the volcano, but you could totally heal it. If you're actively healing it, you should be fine.
Yeah, I mean,
And normally, guys, this is this takes Socrates is hooking us up. This normally takes 4 different bloods that you have to get from Gasu, Traskaron, SK, and the other one, and 500,000 sweat. So pretty awesome for us, guys. So thank you.
no worries.
And
Well,
people
we like to have something exciting going on during the streams, so it's good for something for people to do. And as I said, when I get to finish the stream, I have one more thing that I'll leave everyone with for the weekend. So you just have to stick around for that.
You got another surprise for us?
I have indeed.
No way you're gonna shave your head for charity. No way.
That's not happening. That would have to go through an in-game vote poll, and
I don't even think I'd want to see it happen, dude. It'd be a sad day, man. It'd be a sad day. No, not your hair, man. Not your hair. What would your wife say? How would your wife feel about it?
Yeah, I might not be looked at the same way ever again, because I've got quite a bit of forehead as it is, but if the whole thing is basically forehead, I mean that's
Oh,
that's game over, I think.
I know, you look like me, man. Tell me about it. It'd be rough.
This is good. We're down for the first husk pretty much. Do we have any guesses on the husks we have tonight? What the highest one is going to pop off at?
Oh, in the chat on our ATH, guys, do we get an ATH? Do we hit a million ped? That's like 3.5. That was the delayed one there. A 3K hit. Oh my goodness, pro! Get your hands off me, pro! He killed me. Oh my god, these murderers, dude. They're a bunch of. Wait, Husk is back up, you murderers! Wait! They killed me, dude.
So we got some guesses in the chat. I think the highest one, people are saying 15k. I think maybe it's more reasonable to say 8k, 9k. But who knows? You never know. You never know when it might. There was one time where I think it was last year we were doing a like dynamic event at the Atlantis archipelago, and I can't remember if it was a brood mother or if it was one of the warlocks, but we hit I can't remember if it was like 100k, and I had to reassure everyone at MindArk that was, you know, I had no control over that matter. It was pure chance that on one of these events we hit an 80h, so maybe it can happen again.
That is a good point, man. There could be ramifications for you. That is a good point.
It could be conspiracies.
Yes, indeed. How does that? Oh, never mind. I won't even bother to attempt to ask. No, you know where I was going. Never mind. Let me spare you. There is our second Husk spawn. Socrates, for those potentially traveling, should people continue to come from other areas here?
We're going to do a couple more. So I mean, if you're on Calypso, feel free to head on over. If you're pretty far away, you probably won't have time to join in. But you know, maybe some people will go off and do some group stuff afterwards anyway. Certainly after we're done with the Husks, I'm going to hop on the PvP avatar, and we can have a little bit of a play around PvP fest if we want.
Do you think you could beat a 1v1 against Eve?
No.
You couldn't?
So when I played, I did actually used to do PvP. Back when I played, they used to lock down the servers. Like someone would take like the NA time, someone would take the EU time, and I always used to contest for the EU time. Sometimes I'd have it, but this is a long time ago. I am not, you know, my trigger discipline's not there. It's just I'm retired, you know.
Yeah. Yes, I believe. So maybe you fight Dune. So maybe Dune then.
I mean, I'm cheating as well because I have the RX unit avatar, which I don't think you've seen before, but it has 1,500-ish or 1,200 HP and a few cool tools that no one else has. So it gives me a slightly better chance. Yeah.
Oh, you're strong. So then maybe we could set it up that you could fight Eve, Messi, Dune, and Image at the same time, like a 4v1 fight. You know, it could be fun. You know.
I think I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, that would be fun if you ever had like a massive big avatar like that and you fought like those guys. All right, here's house number 3, guys. House number 3. That would be kind of fun. We actually did that once. We did like kind of like that 2v6, 1v4 style fight of could be fun one time to do that with the big guys.
Yeah.
Just see what you could do. I don't know if you could make it strong enough, or you could put up a big fight like that.
Someone in the chat says Mod Nano can crit for 1,500. Yes, this is the problem. I'm not surviving the crits.
Yeah, you'd almost need some pretty juiced armor. What's that big armor set, guys, that's still being built? Does that avatar have its own unique armor set, or is it one that's in game?
No, so that avatar was originally created about 10-ish years ago during something called, I think it was the Wastelanders event. So when it was made, all of the guns, the armor, the gear, the stats, it was balanced around the top players 10 years ago, right? So all of that gear is not that great now. So really, when I have the time, I need to go through and actually like buff it up, give it the best gear for 2026 standards, because it's just not cutting it these days.
You know what? Get yourself a tier 10 stable with the amp. And what's that armor set that one of the guys is been farming for a long time? He's trying to get it from that other planet. It's pretty juiced armor.
The Spec Ops?
Is that what it is?
I don't know
which one, guys? There's a guy who's been trying to get it for a long time, guys. He's been trying to build it. It's super dedicated. I know Messi likes it. I forget the one. Spec Ops. Yeah, it is. Is it Spec Ops or is it Spina? Is it? No, not the Spina set. I don't think it's Spina.
I think
the
it
guys
is Spec
are building
Ops.
Spina.
Yeah, because
I think it's Spec Ops. Yeah. It's a different planet, so you got to go on another planet to get it. Yeah, Spec Ops. Yeah, so maybe get the Spec Ops set, juice tier 10 with a stable tier 10 with the amp and ice shield. Maybe you need 2,000 1,000 health, because if you have
Yeah.
too much health with like healing chips, it'd be probably pretty difficult for the guys to keep critting you. But against 4 of them, I would love to set that up. Dune and Image, even Messi, working together, 4v1 versus you with this super avatar, and they got to work together, and the boys got to unite. That would be fun, man. That would be fun, and I'll put up the prize pool.
That sounds fun. And I have to say, the Spec Ops is a great looking armor as well. It's a really nice looking one. One of my other favorite armor sets in the game, which I think there's only one of, is the Dark Knight of Arcadia. That's another great looking armor set from Ark. If you ever get the chance to see it in game, I can't remember who has it at the minute. Might be Sunard, I'm not sure. But that's an amazingly cool armor to look at. And of course, the Spina armor as well is a beautiful one.
Yeah, Spina kind of looks, it's that green one, right? Kind of looks
Yeah.
a little Halo-ish. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty cool. What did you tell me what weapons you used back in the day? Were you like a melee? Were you a mindful? Were you a gun guy? What did you use?
A lot of everything. So I'm one of those
Okay.
people who many people, if they're probably smart, they kind of stick to one and just like take it all the way. Whereas I did like Mind Force, electrokinetic. I did knives, swords, BLP, and laser, and I all got all of them at the same time up to the same level. Because my thinking was like, well, especially when I was playing, right? I didn't work for MindArk, obviously. I was like, well, you never know what they're going to release next. So I want to have like a good amount of profession levels across the board, so that if they release something that's like something else, right? Then I can actually use it. Which, annoyingly, they now have done. Mostly because I suggested it, but now now it actually pays off. For example, to have some Mind Force skills, even if you don't do Mind Force, so you can use those chips. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun thing. It's what I've noticed as I've really enjoyed the game, is the depth of the systems and the requirement, if you want to really be competitive at that top level, especially in things like PvP or whatever, is that you need to have the health. So you need to skill up in melee for long swords or something, and then Mind Force, you need to be able to use Ember Aegis or an Arson chip. So that you need to have a well-rounded avatar, it feels like,
Yeah.
if you really want to push,
Well, and again, if you want to look at it purely from the sort of sustainability and profit standpoint, the more flexible you are to adapt and pick up on like markup changes and trends, the better, right? So if suddenly, let's say tomorrow, that a particular mining resource or whatever suddenly becomes more valuable, then if it pays to have spent time skilling up your mining, so that you can quickly, at the drop of a hat, you can pivot, make the most of whatever surge in demand there is for a given resource, and then go back to what you're doing before. So like maximum
Yes.
adaptability is really important if you want to take advantage of events that raise the prices of certain things around the universe.
Absolutely. I see that, and I've seen that expand even with other skills and other profession and skill lines as well. That seems to be smart to do. Also,
Someone in the chat's asking, what is a good first Mind Force chip? I mean, the obvious first Mind Force is a level 1 chip, right? But you have to pick. There's a few different ones. I would say my personal would be to go with either electric or a kinetic attack chip, because that gives you access to some of the debuff chips that are quite handy, and it also gives you access to the electrocution chip. And I would also say, so pick either electric or kinetic, and I would also suggest doing combustive at the same time, so you can use the arsonistic chips. That's my personal opinion. It is not a guide, so that's just my opinion.
yes. Would it be possible, Socrates, to do what you did in this SK pit and spawn multiple husk at once? I've never seen more than one husk.
We can do, after this husk is killed, I'll spawn 3 at the same time, and then that's
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
No more after that.
Oh.
No more after that.
be sick, dude. That would be sick, dude. And guys, you better run from Shilda, dude. You better run, guys. There is a murdering spree. There are murderers amongst us, guys. You keep your wits about you, dude, and run, guys.
And then while those 3 husks are being taken down, I'm gonna switch to the other avatar.
Yes,
and
and come deal with them, dude. You need to come
Yeah.
deal with the murderers. So yeah, please come deal with them and protect us. Can you keep us safe, Socrates? Be the hero that we all know you to be. Because
I don't know if I've got it in me. I don't know if I've got it in
Dude,
me.
it is a bloodbath. Shilda is literally destroying everybody, and Eve's here. They need you.